I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Good to see you. Hope everyone's staying, warm. I hear that, it's winter.
Finally.
Yeah. So I don't, who does it, so I can't see the member.
Okay. You should be able to open up all the participants, but yes, so Sierra Drevline is on. So I will, Sierra, so we're at the public comment portion. I know you had contacted me and wanted to join the meeting. So you can unmute, I don't know if you have comments for the committee, or you just wanted to listen in and see what we're all about this evening.
Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Oh, great. Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Sierra Drevline. I am a resident of Unionville and have been for almost 2 years. And I'm just here to learn and here to see what I can do to support Farmington's efforts, and especially as just an ordinary citizen. I just want to know how I can support and what I can do to help. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sierra, for coming. We are, we tend to be fairly informal. So we've had members of the public before show up at the meeting and have something to say during whatever we're discussing. Feel free if you have ideas or to chime in. We like it when people show up and they're interested in what we're doing, because we always need more people who are willing to help out, or just even to know what's going on and helping to educate your friends when they ask a question about recycling or whatever the latest and greatest environmental issue is. So thank you for joining us this evening. All right, we have no presentation, so the next item on our agenda is to review and approve the November 16th, 2021 meeting minutes.
And they were emailed out with the agenda, so everyone had the copies. The December meeting minutes, I don't believe we need to vote on, since technically there wasn't a quorum. So they're there for informational purposes for folks, but yeah, I don't think we need to vote on them. But here's the November meeting notes.
Is this where someone says motion?
This is where someone makes a motion to approve the minutes. Yes, Stacy.
I make a motion.
I second it.
Thank you, Kate. Does anyone have any changes, revisions to the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Great, thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, and let me bring the agenda back up for you.
Thank you.
Of course.
So our next item is to the anti-idling status update. I know, Kate, I saw an email from you about the DEP book. I'm going to highlight the two things I know we have to talk about, and anything else that anyone else wants to bring up on this. And for Sierra's benefit, what we have been discussing is that Connecticut has regulations that prohibit the idling of vehicles for more than 3 minutes. And it actually applies to all vehicles, including the parents' cars, if they're, when they're picking up their kids at school. And one of the things we're working on is adding signs to the schools to both remind parents that if they're there for a while to turn their cars off while they're waiting for their kids, young lungs at work, breathing. And the other component as well is to make sure we have anti-idling signs at the loading docks for the schools. So that way, when there are deliveries from trucks and other vehicles, that they also remember to turn off their engines as well to help limit pollution. And Kate has been looking at what DEP has to offer towns and how they can assist us in achieving this goal. Last meeting, Sam who's the facilities manager for the schools, he reported back to us on how he's talked to some of the principals about what they're interested in and what they can do. And there's some interest in making this a part of the student curriculum. There's also some concern on the committee's part that we don't want to overload teachers and having to do more in educating students. But Green Efforts is a committee that's a joint committee of both Town Council and the Board of Education. So it does have as its mission both town goals as well as goals that apply to the schools. So with that, I know, Kate, you had information about a book that DEP could provide, and we also need to talk about a newsletter update. So Kate, I'm going to turn it over to you first.
Okay. Yes. So the DEP has offered this book, which I don't know if any of you have gotten a chance to look at, but I shared it with Tara Vasquez, and she didn't feel that it was well enough written, I guess, to be introduced in the classrooms. So I'm not going to request the book. However, she did say, well, maybe it could be something that's given out on Earth Day, and I said, well, listen, it could just be something that the kids take home at a particular grade level, which is grade 1. And she said, well, it's going to be confusing. So what I'm talking about right now ties in to what Sam, the three of us have been working on, Tara, Sam, and myself. But so let me just jump to that. I got to reach out from Tara. Sam had talked with her, and we met before the holidays to discuss, kind of brainstorm what would this look like for the kids at Westwoods. And she has decided that the 5th grade curriculum is a great place to introduce this idea of anti-idling, because they're studying air pollution, that kind of thing. And Sam, I know, maybe you can pop in at any point, but what she and I had talked about was, well, I had told her that we were going to be getting these signs from DEP for each of the buildings, basic signs. And she said, well, how about as part of this program with the 5th graders, she liked, there was the EPA also has great information and education information. And so she liked the research projects they were doing with kids, where they would go out and basically monitor at a certain time each day, and see how many people were not turning their cars off, how many people were idling. So they'd started off there, and then there would be some education that happens. And then at the end, they would again go out and monitor to see if people are turning their cars off. So there's going to be some research involved with it. And then the second thing she wants to do is have the students create a sign. And she wants to make, really, this is just the beginning phases of this, but she wants enough that we could have each of the teams, I guess, at Westwoods. I don't know a lot about what goes on over there as far as teams and all that, but be able to provide 2 of the signs. So there's, how many teams are at Westwoods? 4?
In 5th grade, are we talking just the 5th grade?
How many are there?
Yeah. So there's 4 teams, because what she was talking about was awarding 8 signs.
Right.
So out of those groups, so 2 out of each group. Right. And she was actually really excited about it because it's, she said a section where it's stewards of the earth is what it is. And so sometimes, stewards of the air, there's different areas where there's stewards, and stewards of the air was one where she always had a little trouble with that. So seems like it's really dovetailing nicely with that, where we're going to be able to, like we said last meeting, or actually, I don't know if you consider it a meeting, but the last time we took some notes on this subject, engage the students first, really have the signage and everything. Excuse me, sorry for my loud dog. Engage the students first, and then the signage will be coming from them. And she saw, like you were saying, really some great research opportunities. So she was really excited about it and wants to run with it. So I'll let you pick back up with that.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going to design. I talked with Mr. I can never say his name right. Jim Rosvason. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Rose Basin. Yeah.
Rose Basin, he's at highway and grounds. Yep.
So I called him before the new year and kind of threw this by him. And I said, hey, do you think that you can produce these signs? And if you can, what format do they need to be in? Because, you know, Tara wants to do this, but it's kind of like, you know, do they have to be able to have computer skills to do it? So anyway, he said, I really don't know. And so he did a deep dive and they use East Coast signs to make some of their signs that are more complicated. And he called them and they said that they could get it, we could give it to them in whatever form we wanted to. So it could be, you know, a piece of paper that has the drawing that wins, you know, the 8 drawings that win. And then they could produce a sign from that. So he's going to work with us on that, which is great. You know, as that comes to being. So those signs will be where the, and just correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but they're going to be further away so that the parents see it as it comes in. I guess you'll have to decide where the best place is as far as location is concerned, but.
Or maybe the students could help us with that too. But yeah.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we talked about in that meeting before Christmas was that the students could then present their information out of our Green Efforts meetings and potentially write up their research and the data and everything they learned. And maybe we could put it up on the town website for Green Efforts, you know, give them all kind, you know, basically many ways to kind of approach this. So she's excited about it. So we'll see.
This sounds awesome, Kate.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, so Sam and I are going to go over to the school next week, right, Sam? I think we've got a date. And
yeah, I think she had some trouble with availability, so it might be the week after, but
okay,
but pretty soon.
Yeah, so she wants us to represent the Green Efforts and kind of help launch this thing. So they're gonna tape us in their little TV station over there, and then she'll launch the project. So it's moving forward. So very exciting. So anyway, the book is either scrapped or we could get the book. You know, I don't know. You can let me know. And the woman said we have them. All I have to do is go to Deep and pick them up.
I don't know that I'm crazy about picking up a book just to hand out something that's likely going to go home and go in someone's recycling or trash.
Right.
So.
Okay. And then I've ordered the signs, so hopefully, you know, we'll be able to get those in the next, you know, those basic signs that are going to go on the loading docks. And hopefully I'll get those in the next week. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Anything
I have
else?
something to add.
Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I was talking to my daughter about this and she got all fired up. And so she's a junior at FHS and she emailed Dr. Hurwitz about taking the angle, not of the parents, but of the students, because the students also idle in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he wanted to put it on the agenda of the principal's advisory committee, which Maggie is on. The next meeting is this Thursday, but she's having her wisdom teeth out on Thursday. So I don't think she's joining, but so I don't know if they'll discuss it without her or they'll wait, but just to strategize how the students can help with the idling.
That's awesome.
Great.
Maggie.
That's fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah, even as simple as like hang out in the, like walk slower to your car so you don't have to wait, you know, just there's simple things. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, even in the morning, you know, because in order to get there, right, they've got to get there early in order to even get into the lot, but then they're kind of sitting around, a lot of them. So
Yep.
And how many of them are, driving a friend and starting the car when the friend hasn't reached the car yet because, you want to listen to your music or whatever.
Yep.
I can tell you, I have been more mindful over the last few weeks, and I'm sitting and I'm waiting to pick up Jack, and I'm like, oh, Rutherford, you got to turn your car off, hon. Like, like, oh my God, somebody's gonna see me with my car running.
Yep. Well, they have these, one of the things that Deep has is these tickets that you can give out. They have no legs, but they're these, citations. So people can you can go put it in on someone's car. I thought, that could be kind of fun. I was sitting at Lowe's. I was at Lowe's the other day and I was getting out of my car and there was a van sitting there and the guy had the thing on just spewing. Oh, it was awful. I go in, I'm in there for a half hour. I come out, he's still there with the thing on. And I thought, God, I want to knock on his window and say, I think you should turn your car up. But boy, he didn't look like he would have been open to that.
Sometimes you got to choose your battles, Kate.
We would have read about you on the news.
Probably would have.
He would have blown COVID in your face and been like,
Oh.
sorry.
Oh, I thought it's fun. I'm just more self-conscious about it now, or not conscious, but self-aware, right? And waiting, and yeah, and those teenagers, you say 5 o'clock and it's anywhere from 4:45 to 5:20. I'm like, dude, I got places to be. Let's go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Basic awareness, just like we're talking about here, could make a huge impact.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think this is great.
I think that's why it'll be great to get this letter in the newsletter, this article.
You segued right to what I wanted to do, Kate. Great.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Because one, we can introduce the fact that this, there's going to, well, maybe we shouldn't. Ooh, no, because we don't want the parents to have the heads up that they're going to get monitored for idling because they've got to get real data. So maybe I shouldn't mention anything about the students working on this. Maybe I can, in generality, I won't go into specifics. It would be nice to bring that forward because I think people love hearing that their kids are getting involved with something with the town.
But that's the benefit. So the next one will come out. So this one's going to publish in February, and then the next one will be out. Generally, it's mid-April. We try to get it out so that it's advertising the household hazardous waste, and the spring, the bulk waste pickup. And then it's also, we got to time it for whatever referendum, the referendum. So it's jam-packed with goodness and info, but that would be, so you'll definitely have an opportunity to do an update. So this would be a great little intro blurb.
Great.
For folks, and then through the spring and then even the summer one, be able to provide a little more info.
Okay.
But
it looks like Sierra has her hand up.
oh yeah, okay.
Thanks.
I do. Hi. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yep, go right ahead.
First off, I'd just like to say hi to Sylvia. I know her from Carrier, so hi. Secondly, I wanted to know. Hi.
How are you?
Good. Very good. How are you?
Good.
I wanted to just say I'm glad we're tackling this anti-idling because I dropped my kids off at Union School, and it's definitely a problem. And I wanted to bring up signs, so that's great. Thank you so much for doing that. Secondly, I love the idea of the kids being involved, and I was just wondering if there's any thoughts on, I know we discussed the book, and books kind of are a commitment, and a lot of people don't have that kind of time to really delve into it, but what about having the kids make a list of things that they can do and their parents can do, the household can do, and for green efforts, and making like a refrigerator magnet, some kind of checklist, just so it's really comprehensive and easy and visible. I just want to throw that out there.
Sierra, are you thinking, across the board? So not just necessarily this anti-idling issue, but broadly educational. Yes. Great.
Yep. And, just I've gotten a lot of vendor, just basically junk mail for calendars for 2022, et cetera. And some of them have refrigerator magnets in there that have a calendar, or have some tips relative to the services that they provide, but you know, what about something for specific to Farmington that has you know, specific dates for the upcoming year, and then also some strategies in there that are more general.
Thanks. That's, you know, we always talk, we did a recycling, we had a recycling effort 2 years ago, and I don't know, pandemic means all my years blur. But we did there was a presentation by Deep, and I know one of the things that came out of that, you know, similarly, is people say, I need a way to know what I can recycle. And we've talked about magnets before. One thing that we do have to keep in mind, and so most of what we do, we keep very low cost, because Green Efforts does not get money out of the town budget. So we do have a small account that's associated with some funds that were earmarked for Green Efforts a few years ago. But we don't get recurring funds. But I do like the idea of getting the kids involved. I think parents would be happy to put a magnet on the fridge that has kid artwork on it, because that's more exciting to them than black and white do, don't kind of thing. So I really appreciate that you chimed in, because it's always good. And actually, our next item, our next item on the agenda is to talk about our goals for 2022. But before I do that, Kate, is there anything else on anti-idling, or anyone else that has anything else on that item?
Not me.
All right, keep it up. This is great. I can't wait to hear about how your recording and TV time goes. You'll be a star. All right. So moving to the next item on the agenda, the committee goals for 2022. We had talked about these. Now the small section of the few of us that showed up in December talked about it a little bit, and it was on the December agenda, but we moved it to this month to try to have some more input, more folks give input and on what we should be doing next. And one of the things that was, so I'm just gonna, I created a quick little, very cheat sheet kind of list of what we had talked about before. One, which I think is obvious and should probably stay on the list, is to continue with this anti-idling educational effort, because it's going very well, and it's very concrete now. There are steps, there are things that are happening, and there's a I don't want to say a flow chart, but there's a method in terms of moving forward and actually achieving an end goal. So I think that's great. So the other items we had talked about broadly, waste reduction, education, composting, land, natural resource type projects, dealing with invasives, environmental justice, partnering potentially with the racial equality group, and a very singular concrete item of a car charging station, and the educational goal more generally. So does anyone have, so I think what we need to do before we dive in actually is having we obviously can't do all of these. We don't have enough person power. We don't have enough time in our day, and having things to focus on definitely makes us more effective as a group. I keep going back to our recycling presentation, but that was a nice concrete item, and now the anti-idling I think is going really well as well, and we've got a nice concrete step in moving forward. And I think if we focus more, if we pick a couple of things to focus on, we'll be more effective than broad. And I know there's a lot of interest in all of these categories and all of these efforts. So I think from my perspective, focusing on perhaps items that we have steps in place already, or have an idea of where to go, or having an idea of what we want to achieve, might also help us ultimately get to some of these other goals, like an inclusive community project. If you focus on, I'm going to say composting, maybe there's a way to incorporate an inclusive community project into that is still composting based, and it still gives us a way to have a focus. But I'll open it up to the rest of the committee. Anyone have thoughts on what they'd like to see for this year? And what you'd like to do?
Can I ask a question just about that, the commuter lot that's being built over where the old big shed was? I had like that sand.
I don't know about the
Yeah.
commuter lot.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's over South Road and 2 Mile Road.
Are
Right,
they
if you take Route 6 straight out as if you were going to South Road to the mall.
All right.
Are they including, is that done by the state, Shannon, or is that,
Yes,
yeah.
that's a state DOT project.
are they putting a charging station there or no?
I don't know.
I mean, that would make sense, but
Yeah, I don't know if there is one included, Kate. I could take a look. I'm not sure if we've got the design plans in-house on those.
yeah, but we wouldn't have any input on that anyway, so.
Not really, no. We don't have any influence, but I could get an answer to your question.
Okay. Thanks. I mean, our trash, you know, the continuation of our trash reduction, I think is that combined with trying to get a composting program going, I think would be a really great project to concentrate on, given, you know, the closing of the place in Hartford, and, you know, we want to decrease our et cetera. And also we want to do some composting because that just feeds it. That goes right into kind of reusing.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and certainly any info that we, garner on that, then certainly it's something the town is looking at, right? Because we're now being faced with a decision of having to get trash elsewhere in the shipping, the transport fees for that. So, anything this group was able to look into, then that's something that can dovetail directly over to the Director of Public Works, as he's, trying to sort through really what our next steps are for Farmington. And that's being looked at, obviously, not just in the silo of Farmington. This is impacting multiple communities.
And to the extent also maybe on that, if the Department of Public Works needs funds to do something, it might be a way to get to do something towards the goal of waste reduction. It may be a way to not necessarily have a green efforts line item, but definitely for green efforts to have a say in some ways in terms of budget and funding for waste reduction. So
Would that person come talk to us?
yeah, it's Russ, right?
It is, Russ. Yeah. I think, I know some of the previous meetings we had talked about reaching out to Blue Earth and was it Kristen Sculty?
Yes.
Patty, that was interested in speaking with us. So
yeah,
I think yes, but I think it would be helpful. Like if we get a little information, then I can take it to Russ, it kind of to help with that conversation. So I didn't know if maybe we wanted to talk to those folks first and see what they have available, what their thoughts are, what they've done in other communities. And then that helps with the conversation I can have with Russ and whether or not he thinks that's something that we're ready as a community to start to look into further.
I didn't remember until I was reading the minutes 15 minutes before this meeting that I volunteered to contact Blue Earth, and I dropped that ball, and I'm so sorry, but I will reach out tomorrow to them if we want me to do it still, if we trust me anymore.
Yeah,
I think Stacy was because the group didn't really have a consensus about 2022 goals, that you're probably off the hook for, until today. And now today we will create that consensus and it will actually be tasked to you.
I'm still just blaming COVID for everything that happened to me.
Absolutely, entirely fair.
Between COVID and holidays, I think everybody is still, and this week just kind of, this
Ah.
first week in January just sneaks up on you and bites you right in the rear end.
Yep.
So yeah, you're not alone. But it just, when you're talking dates with Blue Earth, I think either the February or March meeting
Okay.
would be great. So those meeting dates that we already have, and those are, because I got them right here.
They're going to be the same.
February 1st and March 1st.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I think once you have them lined up, then we can reach back out to Kristen. I'm gonna go on the assumption that her schedule might be a little more flexible than Blue Earth's, perhaps incorrectly so, but if you get Blue Earth lined up, then maybe we can get Kristen lined up for the same evening and just kind of have a focused discussion on composting and our options.
Do you want me to reach out to Katie Bradley from Porter's, given that they've been doing it in their cafeteria for a few years now, just to kind of get a perspective? Maybe that's down the line. I don't know. If we're considering doing the schools, because I know, Sam, we had talked, I think we talked about that last time briefly, maybe, about trying to introduce it in the schools.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're still in the blame it on COVID mode right now. We're still in that packaged lunch kind of, continuing with that, with the way things are right now. So that there's a lot more waste associated with our cafeterias. So, but as soon as we come out of that, obviously we're reaching a point where we're going to be charged a lot more for our trash. And certainly if we can see how that works at Miss Porter's and see if that would work in our cafeterias, that would be quite a bit of weight that would be taken out of that load that we're taking out.
So right now,
I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I launched a composting program at my kids' elementary school in Brooklyn and trained all the kids. So I do have some experience there too.
wow. No, you didn't.
Just a smidge.
Holy cow.
Flip
We're
test
so
that
happy to have you,
with the
Stacey.
trays.
I think my thought would be, well, before we go too far down this line, for the folks that are present, do we have consensus that we're moving forward with a waste reduction composting goal for 2022? Does anyone object? Sierra, if you have something to say, so you went off on mute, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yes, I agree. I think that's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I think then what I would like to do is keep these other items on the list, so when next time the committee has to go through and say what's our next step, we'll know what we thought about last time. But I think having more than 2 goals in a year is challenging, and we've got the anti-idling, so waste reduction with a focus on composting right now, and then we can see what else happens in the waste reduction realm as we look into it. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
I think it's good, and it's nice and focused, and see where we get with the composting initiative.
I think there's a good benefit to the town that even, the non-green efforts people, so town council will, and others will see value, because we could potentially ultimately save the town money in tipping fees. So.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Which is always huge when we can do that.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, yes. So Stacey, if you could reach out to Blue Earth Compost, find out when they can come, and also maybe tee up what types of, have them thinking about how they've helped other municipalities or towns or areas. I think I've seen that they've gotten involved in some towns just with the commercial side, so they work with the restaurants. But I'd be curious, I don't know their full breadth of how they've worked with other municipalities, so I'd be curious to get that scope.
Yep.
Patty, what are your thoughts on having, reaching out to Katie Bradley at this point over at Miss Porter's? We want to try and do everything at once, or do we want to start with Blue Earth and Kristen, and then maybe hear from Katie at a separate meeting if she's interested in joining us for an evening, and then see what they're doing, who they work with and whatnot. And
I think I'm inclined to start with Blue Earth and maybe Kristen, especially with COVID, and to the extent a lot of Katie Bradley's focus is school oriented. Our schools right now probably aren't quite there with all the packaging.
That's fine.
But Kate, if you know, or anyone else who knows Katie, if you could at least find out if they use Blue Earth or if they're using another service, so that way we at least know if there's another option out there.
Yeah. I'll just, you know what, I'll just say, how's it going?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. All right. So we've got our goal for 2022. Stacy, let us know what Blue Earth, when they want to meet. Let Shannon know if they want to come to the February meeting so that we can get on the agenda.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. Thank you, everyone. We've got a plan.
Perfect, right? Accomplished.
Yes. Next is our simple, going on with waste reduction. Any simple recycling update, Shannon?
I don't. I'll have to reach out to them. It's been quiet. I did see some pink bags out over, through December, so that's always a good sign. I'm always interested to see. I've been using our Facebook Marketplace, of course, but the buy nothing and the trade barter borrow site, and I've got stuff flying out of this house. I'm just amazed. It's
awesome.
Fabulous. It's worked so well, and it's working really well with my husband being home from working from home. So these different people that have obviously different work schedules and different obligations, they're like, okay, I'm heading over in an hour. And I just text my husband and I just set it up there. Everything's got masking tape with the name. And it's just like, I'm like, so-and-so's coming to be here in an hour. Okay. And he goes and he just sets it out on the front step, and they don't even have, it's not nice that they don't have to interact, but like he can be on a conference call and it doesn't interrupt anything, and it's getting reused by somebody else rather than in the trash.
Yeah, I love this so good. Yeah, it's huge. The stuff I've been able to just give to someone else that I just don't want to take the time to take it somewhere. And all I have to do is put a post and then put it on my front step.
Yeah, it's fabulous. And I don't know, actually that's something that could even go in the newsletter as far as like that whole reduce, reuse, recycle. It's a great outlet. And at least for some of them, it's local, like it's just Farmington, which adds a certain comfort level for having folks come to your home. At least it's like, okay, well, it's just in our community. It's not people coming from all points in the state that you have no idea who they are or how, they're connected. So
hyper local, Shannon, if you're doing buy nothing.
Well, it is. Yes, I was.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
So, but it's nice that those opportunities exist. And it's just, I've been fascinated with, there's a lot of truth to, one man's junk, and it's not so much that it's junk. It's just, we've outgrown it as somebody else's treasure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. Preschool desks that my 6'1" 18-year-old does not sit at anymore. Right. It's like, why do I even still have this in my?
Yeah, I got one of those that I have to get rid of too. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's something else. Maybe I'll, if there's a corner in the newsletter, we'll get something in there to add that into.
Yeah, I think we put something about it in one of the Green Efforts newsletters. So, but that would mean then that it's been a couple of years.
Okay.
So, but I think in one of the ways you can reduce, one of those, it was referenced somewhere, like look for your local buy nothing group.
Sure.
So, all right, cleanup day 2022, Kate and Stacy, what can we do to help? Any updates? What can we do to help you? Because now we are
Kate
30
said I didn't have to
months.
do anything till January, and now it's January, so I will do things.
Okay.
Now we need,
That's fair.
we need to meet again, I think, to
Okay.
chat. So yeah, nothing has happened to date,
Okay.
but I want to get, like I usually kind of tweak the flyer, but I want to talk with Stacy and see what kind of changes she'd like to make and put her own style into things. So,
Okay.
so we will get together.
We'll meet soon. Yeah.
Just keep us posted. And Kate, as you know, when the flyer's ready, you get it, you get it over to us. We'll get it in the newsletter and post it and all that jazz. So
Great.
when you folks are ready.
I'm assuming that we're doing the shredding and we're doing the electronics recycling. Okay,
Correct.
Great.
Yes. Yep. The whole thing.
Right.
Yep. I actually am the person that gets to get the shredding contracts in place. So they're all in place for 2022.
great.
And so April 23rd is now set in stone.
Correct.
Yes. Great.
Correct. Yep, it is.
I said 22, but I meant 23, 22. So sorry.
April 23rd, 22. Yes.
I'm looking at it and saying the wrong thing.
Yeah. The date that's on the screen is the one that's confirmed.
I'm not even drinking this week. I'm doing dry first week of January.
Good for you.
Well, it's day 4, so let's not celebrate yet.
I'm so happy to have you in our meeting, Stacy, to bring us lovely levity. It's great.
They're being recorded. Oh.
No, that's all right.
I don't know that anyone's watching.
I've got a great IT staff that'll edit things as needed.
Everything she says, edit out.
When you guys meet, anything that you think you're going to need to spend money on, if you could bring that to the February meeting, so that way we can vote if we need to.
Yeah, we'll probably need to get more bags.
That's what I was thinking of, bags. I think do you have enough grabbers still?
Yeah, I mean, we really do. Because last year, things changed, right? So we've only lost a few in the past couple of years.
Okay.
So I think we're okay with where we're at with them.
Okay.
We still have t-shirts left, which we can try to get rid of. And
do we have smaller sizes t-shirts, or are we out of those?
yeah, you know what? I haven't counted them yet. So I'll let you know. I know. Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, t-shirts are nice, but then they're not,
Right. Yeah.
Another thing.
Yeah. Although I still have my neon green one. It's great.
I like the neon green.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stylish, but I can be seen. So.
You can be seen, right? That's the big thing when we're out doing this, right? It's the visibility. Gloves. I know we had, and I don't know.
You know what, Shannon, that's a really good question, because, Brian at Highland Park always gets me gloves. And, with COVID, I don't know where that goes for him. So I should really ask him if he would donate again.
Okay.
We stopped asking people for things, because we weren't going to do much. Yep. But the food, the coffee and the snacks, we've continued to do. So I'll ask Brian again, and then we can put him on the flyer.
Okay.
I mean, I guess, which brings up a point. We can't give out food, right? Can we have?
Well, I think now, aside from where we are, like in this 2 week, because even the school, I know a notice came out about sporting events. So any indoor sporting events, it's been pulled back to parents only, going to view sporting events. And I think that the intent is for I think a 2 week, 1 month period. I honestly didn't look at the full flyer information because I don't have a child in winter sports to have to need the full drill down on information. But at this point, I'm not aware of any other restrictions. So I think the biggest thing is trying to find something that's kind of single serve. I think the coffee dispenser is probably an easy enough thing. Like I know but
Yeah.
whether you use a hand sanitizer and then you just dispense your own coffee, but it's like the whole, like a thing of munchkins where people are putting their hands in. We
Yeah.
probably don't want that. But if
you
they
know
were
what-
clementines or something like that, or a couple of bananas or apples, then that's probably okay. Like something that's
Yeah.
easy to set out, that's kind of a single serve type thing is probably okay. I think the coffee and hot chocolate are probably okay.
Okay. Okay.
And hopefully by the time we get to spring, we're kind of heading more outdoors and we're kind of over this current peak and we're back down in a valley of all of this. And, we'll have to adjust on the fly and be flexible, just like we've been.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. Great. Well, like I said, keep us posted and let us know how we can help.
All right. Thank you. Oh, I got another alert that my internet connection is unstable.
Well, we can hear you
Good. All right.
for what it's worth.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than talking in these and then realizing, it drops you and you say, I have no idea where I was or if they were hearing me or what. So, but if there's nothing else on cleanup day, anyone else have anything else that needs to go that we need to discuss as a committee? All right. Well, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Abstentions? Who's going to oppose a meeting to adjourn? All right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you all next month.
Great.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks.